Hello guys, this is a story of a night that started out as a fun-filled, exciting night but took a darker turn in the early hours of Sunday 26th of June 2022. A group of young students were said to have been celebrating their drop of pen, and they decided to go celebrate this end of exams at a tavern, a nightclub. Like, these young persons were between the ages of 17 and 13. Why were they allowed into a tavern? I'm sure you are asking just the way I'm asking, right? We're not the only ones asking. Many people out there are asking these questions. Why were young persons, underaged, allowed to go into a tavern to celebrate the drop of pen? They could have celebrated that in an appropriate place. Certainly not a tavern, right? Oh well, it's not the time to blame, as a tragedy has struck. And unfortunately, the victims of this tragedy are the young persons, the underage, who were mixed with adults in the Enyobeni tavern for celebrations. The Enyobeni tavern in East London, South Africa, was hosting some local artists, and these young students were said to be celebrating too. And generally people were excited because there had been relaxation of the COVID-19 restrictions. So it was an exciting mood. It was a celebration galore for many people who were at the Enyobeni tavern. The Enyobeni tavern was said to have been filled that night to the brim, and that must have been the Saturday night, which was 25th of June 2022. Unfortunately, what started out well ended in a nightmare. It ended in something that you can only imagine or see from a horror movie. But that became the reality of many people in the East London of South Africa. So people have been asking what exactly happened at the Enyobeni tavern. The Scenery Park police station in Eastern Cape got a report at about 4 a.m. on the 26th of June 2022, which was on a Sunday morning. They got those reports of lifeless bodies in the Enyobeni tavern. When they got there, they found 17 lifeless bodies in the building. 2 were said to have died in a local clinic. Another 2 died on their way to the hospital, and 1 died in the hospital. Sadly, a total of 21 young persons, underage to be precise, died at the Enyobeni tavern. Out of these 21, 12 were males and 9 females. They were between the ages of 17 and 13, all underage. That makes it even more worrisome, right? And questions have been flying. What exactly killed these young persons? Because according to reports, there were no bruises on their bodies, as against the widespread speculation that there was a stampede. But they said their bodies had no bruises, and it didn't show like there were struggles or anything. But it's too early to actually tell if there was a stampede or not. But other people who were at the Enyobeni tavern that night have recounted their own experience and what they think happened that night. One of those people is Brian Mapasa, who was a local artist that performed in the Enyobeni, at the Enyobeni that night. He tweeted and said, "Thank God for saving his life, as he almost died at the Enyobeni tavern." In another tweet, he said people are asking questions as to what killed these people, wondering what killed them. He said nothing could have killed them but the lack of air, because according to him, the Enyobeni tavern was filled to the brim, so filled that people could not even breathe. It was that bad. Like, how do you allow people to pile themselves into a building going beyond its capacity just because of what? Because they want to make money? It's sad. And this guy said it was filled to the brim and pepper spray was being sprayed. People asked under his tweet why they were spraying pepper spray, but he did said, or who was spraying it. He said you can't really know who was spraying it, but you just feel it in the atmosphere and it just keeps getting into your system. So could that have also contributed to the death of this young person? Oh well, it's too early to tell. A survivor also emerged 2 days after the ugly incident as she recounted her near-death experience. In her own narration, she did said she recounted the Enyobeni Tavan was filled to the brim too. She said that, and she was inside the club with 2 of her friends in her arms who had passed out. She said she was trying to resuscitate her friends when people from upstairs inside the club started rushing downstairs because they needed to gain exit and get some fresh air as people were already passing out. And she said people from outside were still trying to force their way into the club, but the bouncers had to lock the door to prevent that from happening, saying that the club was already filled to the brim. Now, the bouncers locking up the doors also prevented those who were trying to seek for fresh air outside from going out, and that made matters worse. She said it was while that chaos was ongoing that she herself passed out. She fainted for 3 hours, and she said when she regained consciousness, she could hear a man saying they should put her with the dead bodies. Scary thing, with the dead bodies. But you won't blame the man. I'm sure he thought she was also dead. And at this point, I'm wondering, I hope there was a proper check to ensure that all the people that were deposited in the mortuary were actually dead and that they didn't just pass out, fainted. Well, I want to believe they did the due diligence, they did the needful. But luckily for her, she regained consciousness and got to tell her own story. Not all the 21 were that lucky, as they didn't live to tell their own stories. And this girl said that chaos went on even though there was no fight in the tavern. She said everything was peaceful until that chaos from people who wanted to come in, and generally it was as a result of people pass out. But she also mentioned something very important. She said there was a strong smell that was like that of gas. So that is now bringing 2 accounts. The Brian Mapasa did say pepper was sprayed in the air, and this survivor is saying there was a strong smell like that of gas. So we don't know if it was the same thing, that they both interpreted differently, but samples have been taken from the bodies of the victims and taken to toxicologists who will ascertain what actually killed them, if truly there was any toxin or poisonous substance or whatever in the air or in their system. That will be ascertained. And also an inquest has been opened to ascertain the actual cause of death, and that is very important. We understand that the Eastern Cape Liquor Board has threatened that they would seize the license of the Tavern Enyobeni and also file criminal charges against the license holder. In the meantime, the Tavern Enyobeni has been shut, closed down until full investigation is concluded. But families have been left in shock. It is almost like a nightmare that many are begging to be woken up from. But sadly, it's terrible. And we just want to say that young persons should be patient. There is time for everything. Don't go about taking substances that you shouldn't consume, or even alcohol, when you are not 18 yet. You will get to that age and you will have alcohol without fear, and you yourself will be able to regulate yourself because you know you have the right to take it. So guys, this is where we end this sad story of the Black Sunday in South Africa, and we do hope that an answer will be found and provided as to what actually caused the death of 21 young persons at the Enyobeni Tavern in East London, South Africa on the 26th of June 2022. Be a good citizen, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, take care of your emotions, be kind to yourself, be kind to the people around you, and always be a good citizen. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share, and do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. I remain Dorcas Idio, and I love you all.